Palworld 1.0 just changed and added a ridiculous amount of mechanics. So in today's video, I'm going to go give you guys 10 different tips or tricks that will actually save you time, reduce frustration, and change how you completely approach the game. Alrighty, so diving right in here, this first tip is a lifesaver when it comes to frustration and also, annoyance. And that's going to bring us to your inventory space and carrying capacity. And you're going to find early game, you're going to max out your inventory's weight very fast, right? With that being said, instead of slowly, and I mean slowly, walking to each individual chest and pressing C on it to then quick deposit, like items into the chest, there's actually a faster way to do this. And like I said, it took me over 50 hours of playing the game to realize that this was in here. Open up your inventory and you can see in the bottom section here, if you press R, it says bulk. You go ahead and can read the little pop-up here, but if you go ahead and press OK, it will then show you all of the items inside of your inventory that it will then place inside of any chest that it belongs inside of your circle radius of your base. And this is a massive game changer because not only, right, does it initially save you the walking time, right, the slow walking time to each individual chest to press C on it, but it also can be utilized strategically. If you guys have ore right outside the ring of your base area, you can actually farm it to the point where you're over encumbered, right, like way over your inventory's weight. And then once all you have to do is walk a little bit here to get across the line inside of your base, and the moment you do, you then can activate that bulk placement here and then drop it into the whatever chest that it belongs in. Next up, let's talk about fast traveling and clicking on these statues that you'll uncover as you adventure through the world. The most important thing is it allows you to fast travel to them from your base. No matter where you are in your base, you can fast travel to another one. Same thing with fast traveling back to your home. Now, with that being said, these are important and you should absolutely unlock these every time you come across one, but the watchtowers are actually much more vital and they're much more revealing when it comes to clearing an area and showing you a bunch of different points of interest. These watchtowers are a little bit different. They're much larger than the individual fast traveling statues. You have to basically jump on top of them or climb them, essentially get up to the top to then activate them, and once you do, it kind of does like a panoramic, cinematic, if you will, and then it reveals, like I said, a larger chunk of the map, revealing a bunch of point of interest on top of not only giving you the fast traveling option. So again, these are 100% going to be a better choice. So if you do happen to see these on the map or uncover these, make sure you're adventuring to those. In my opinion, I would make sure you venture to those first prior to picking up on a fast traveling point. Now, this next one is a little bit fun and kind of cheeky, but it is something that you can utilize to your advantage, and it has saved me a bunch in a pinch. And that is when you're in combat, whether you're out exploring in the world, maybe in a dungeon or even a boss fight, and they have a special ability. And even more so, it's important when they have a special ability that will apply some sort of debuff, right? Whether it's a burn or, something, a poison that will, make your pal take damage over time, or even provide them with a, decreased defense or decreased attack, right? What you can do is you can actually utilize this little cheeky strategy, and that is going to be recalling your pal back prior to the attack and then throwing your pal back out after the attack has been done. Not only does this allow you to completely avoid and mitigate the damage over time effects or debuffs that they could potentially apply, but it is going to allow your pal to stay alive longer and even potentially allow you to strategically kill or capture higher level pals at a lower level than you would potentially, the intention would be. Again, this has been basically the way that I have discovered it as I've been adventuring and uncovering these fast travel points playing Palworld 1.0. I've found myself a little bit lower level most of the time to some of these pals, and it makes me take a lot more damage, and because of that, I've been able to utilize this list to my advantage by swapping through my party, when somebody throws a special attack down, replace them, rethrow them back out, allow them to get more damage off, and just rinse and repeat the process. Alrighty, next up here, a lot of people from Palworld's early access launch was under the impression that you want to catch, 10, 12, 13 versions of the exact same pal in order to receive some sort of benefit. In 1.0's version, you only need to catch 5 of the exact same pal in order for you to get what they call a effigy. The only reason why you would necessarily capture more than 5 is if you you want to increase the star ranking of that individual pal. But for early game and for all the new players out there, all you really need to focus on is capturing 5 to get that bonus effigy, because then it allows you to boost or to permanently boost your character's stats. Alrighty, next up brings us to a big frustration, and one that I absolutely found annoying here diving into Palworld 1.0, and that is when you go to craft something at a bench, man, and it literally makes you hold the key down on your keyboard or your controller to constantly craft the item. Very frustrating and annoying in my opinion. Every other survival crafting game out there, you literally just press it once. Well, most of the time you don't have to build it, for the entire duration. But anyways, here in the settings, you can actually change and adjust this. And like I said, this is probably, deserves to be #1 on this list, because I feel like most players are going to be, relieved when they get this one. All right. In the settings tab here, if you go up to the top, you head over here to the option for gameplay that then has a toggle from toggling it to only needing to press it instead of hold it down for the crafting action. Now, again, this is a toggle you can do for a controller, you could do it for your keyboard, but this is a game changer because it basically allows you to walk into a crafting bench, and some of these items will take a considerable amount of time to craft. And yes, I already know, by the way, all the Karens in the comment section here, your pals can craft for you. I get that, but prior to doing that, or even if you want to aid your pals in crafting it to speed up the timer even more, it makes it a lot easier that you can just press the button to start crafting. It's an absolute game changer. You definitely want to turn this one on as soon as you jump into Palworld 1.0. And speaking on your character's level and stuff, that brings us to a great segue to the next really big tip, and that brings us to your character's stats. When you level up, you know how you have the ability, kind of like Ark, where you can pick and choose the individual stats for your character, whether that's going to be HP or stamina, extra weight, your attack, your defense, you name it here. I would highly recommend that you pump in your weight and stamina first. Reason being is stamina is going to be used basically for everything, for attacking, for sprinting, for gliding, you name it. Having more of it early on will allow you to explore a lot further and even potentially outrun pals and stuff from killing you fast enough. And secondly here, you're also going to want additional carrying weight, because you're going to constantly max out your weight early game by carrying big and heavy resources until you adequately get the right pals to either do it for you or to farm it at base. I would at least try to get your stamina and your weight focused first. But anyways, back to dungeoning. The reason why they're important is not only do they have valuable resources inside or even some unique pals that you don't see inside of the regular world, but on top of that, they also have at the very end, they have 2 chests after beating the boss. Both of these chests typically will give you an item or increase a individual stat inside of your character permanently. So you can see some of these vials here that I'm consuming will increase things like my worker speed, for instance, of my individual character. It permanently increases that, and I didn't have to pump a single stat into it. I was just able to consume these vials. So that's why I recommend just focusing in on the very first part, stamina and weight, and then slowly working into everything else, because some of the stuff you're going to find in the dungeons, I think, more often than not, will boost a lot of your other stats. Next up, let's talk about pals and jobs, all right? I've seen a lot of people getting caught up in this trap of, finding a pal that has 3 or 4 or 5 different special abilities, right, or specializations, these little icons here you can see on their character sheet. With that being said, as cool as it is, right, they can do a jack of all trades, a bunch of different stuff, it's also important to know that they will get confused, and they will sometimes even sit there and wait until another pal finishes doing whatever it is that they could also do, instead of focusing on individual tasks. Some of these pals that might have 5 different specializations or abilities that they can do might have a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or even higher in a individual one compared to the other 2 or 3 that they do have as options. What's important to understand is that it's actually better to manage, or to micromanage, I guess I should say, what each individual pal is doing or not doing. At the monitoring stand here that you unlock in the technology tree, you'll have 3 different options. The second option is actually what we want to take a look at. In the second option, you'll actually see a full list here. Underneath each pal, you can see on the right-hand side, you've got a bunch of different check marks. These are the specializations that they can do by default. If you have a pal that is very good, let's say at watering, right? Like it's got a level 2 or 3 in watering, but it's got a 1 in things like transport or 1 in things like planting or something else. you can actually click on those ones and it will put a X on there. What that means is it tells the PAL that you don't want it to do those activities even though it could. Instead, you want it to focus on the one activity that you left as a check mark. And this is huge because, like I said, doing this for all of your pals at your base as you start to get into automation really heavy, it's going to allow you to streamline the flow of producing resources or managing resources at your base, whether that's food or, planting berries, managing your resources like stone and wood and ore, you name it here. It makes a massive difference. And it's something that you should be utilizing as soon as you possibly can, because your pals are simply going to be hanging up and getting confused and or trying to do the exact same activity that other pals are already doing. And speaking on pals, that brings us to another fantastic tip, and that are some pals are valuable without even being deployed. Some of these pals, they actually have perks that they are provide just for being inside of your party. Some of these can be ore reduction weights, for instance. Another one could be like carrying capacity, so allowing you just to carry more things or having more inventory slots in general. Sometimes it's things like I have that I utilize a lot is auto pickup. This one basically it stays out all the time. It allows me to just automatically pick things up. Actually, the PAL picks it up for me, but still, I don't have to run and go pick it up because the PAL will automatically do that. Definitely make sure that you're picking and choosing the PALs that are going to directly benefit you and your playstyle, and not all of them need to be deployed in order for those passives or those perks to take effect. And now next, let's talk about preparing for the resource bottleneck earlier in the game without even realizing it, but it's going to benefit you greatly, all right? What I mean by that is that in Palworld, you're going to find these resource bottlenecks because people are going to tell you, build your base in this location because it's fantastic, or, do this over here because, get these pals because they're the best for farming, whatever the case may be. All of that could be good information. However, one thing to note that I would highly recommend, and it's pretty much something that I would recommend doing in any game, but that is try to plan your base or where your location is of farming and gathering on things that you're going to potentially need more of in the future. Early game, for instance, just to ore and metal and sulfur, right, and coal. Basically, finding a bunch of these in a condensed area will allow you to farm this material in abundance sooner than later, right? You might not need ore right away, you might not need coal right away, or even sulfur right away, but having the ability to farm it now or earlier will save you a ton of time in the long run when that resource becomes bottlenecked and you need a bunch of them. I hope that you guys found value as much as I did in all of these tips, and they make your experience here in Palworld better. As always, if you guys have any additional tips that I did not cover that you think is important for new beginners, drop them down below so others can share them and check them out. And with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video and found it valuable, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I am on the road to hitting 100,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping to achieve it by the end of 2026. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one.